Mic'd up.
How's that for an intro? We'll just pop right on there and just start talking. How you doing, Michael?
Not a bad one. I'm not surprised at all, honestly.
Yeah. No, it's good to see you, my friend. And I just wanted to catch up with you and share your story a little bit more on where we're going with this 5% Club and the synergies between 5% Club and what you're doing with Walk On Nation and just really your story. Because you kind of you're one of the people that I thought of when this whole thing, this aha moment came about. The transition from high school to college and how unique and special that is, and then you take it to a step further. It's kind of like the Gold Club of being a walk on,
Right.
right? So tell your story. Tell your story of kind of how you got to this point from high school to college to UCF to where you are now.
How much time we got, Rob?
Well,
No.
we got plenty of time, Michael.
So my story, I grew up in New York, Long Island. Um, Moved here around to Florida, Orlando, Florida, close to the end of my middle school years. So I played high school here at Orlando, Florida. During that time, I was getting recruited, looked at a lot. In my senior year, some things happened which are out of my control. Most of the looks I had from coaches kind of went away. So I went out on a whim. UCF came to see me at practice before, so I went out on a whim and I talked to my parents, and they said I should go down to the front office and try to talk with Coach O'Leary, who was at the head coach at the time, and see if I can just get on the team. So this is intervention. This is God's intervention because you know how rare it is to catch a head coach during summer in his office not doing anything. So I showed up there, and one of the recruiting guys who knew me beforehand brought me to Coach O'Leary, and I basically told him my story. Told him, "Hey, Coach, I do not want a handout. I want to earn my spot. I'm not looking for a scholarship. I'm just looking for a spot on the team, and I'll show you the rest." And right then and there, he put me on the team. So for that to happen, it's like a 0.01% chance. So I knew from that point it was meant to be. So through that time, my freshman year, I redshirted. The next year, I earned my scholarship. Was on the field getting playing time. We went 0 and 12 2015. That was the year I actually played the most. Had a lot of injuries here and there. It comes with the game, but we went 12 and 0 with Coach Frost. He came in undefeated season, and that was my career-ending injury. The year we went 12 and 0 undefeated, all the great stuff was a little bittersweet for me. That spring season had a helmet to my quad, internal bleeding, calcified to a whole new bone. So that injury usually happens from car accidents. Mine just happened to be on the football field. So I had to cut everything I did short. So any NFL aspirations, any dreams of playing football were taken from my hands before I was even ready for it. So I went through a big identity crisis. No idea who I was. I was an athlete for so long. I was always known as the athlete. I came to UCF on my athletic identity because that's who I was. So when it was taken away from me, I had no idea what to do with myself. So throughout that time, ended up interning student athlete welfare development office at UCF, where they do life skills, resume building, networking, you name it to get you ready for life after sport. That's what they do there. And that's where I kind of found my niche. And the throughout that time, the thing I needed the most, or I noticed most athletes needed the most, they didn't really offer, which not their fault. They do a bunch of things, but it was athletic identity. So I thought to myself, I can create my own curriculum with the research I've done, my own life experiences, and the things I learned from UCF and create Walk On Nation. So that's how Walk On Nation stemmed. And Walk On Nation is all about redefining athletic identity, showing athletes who they are as a person outside of their sport. Let them know they're enhanced, not defined by their status. The difference with us is most people in this space focus on the transition. I can care less about the transition. I'm more worried about why you're still playing now, figure out who you are so you can use the resource to your advantage. When you're a student athlete, everything is at your doorstep, but you have to go out to get it. But it's kind of hard to get it when you have no idea who you are. So that's why I want to be the middleman, help them realize you are so much more than an athlete, and there are so many resources at your fingertips. You're going to be very upset if you don't use them because when you leave, nobody cares about a has been. At the end of the day, this is a business. So use the business to your advantage. They're getting a lot of things from you. Let's get some back. Like everything, people are hired to serve you. Use it because if you don't, you're foolish if you don't. So that's how everything came about, and that's where I am now.
When you talk about discovering yourself and really figuring out who you are, just unpack that because there's a lot there, and that's really the core of Walk On Nation and that self awareness. So, talk about what's the different stages of discovering who you are and having that honest conversation with yourself, and how does that transition from the field to, being a professional?
That one of the stages, the first one is isolation. To really discover yourself, you have to be alone with yourself. And a lot of times, for most people, that is very uncomfortable. You have to get used to being uncomfortable and really searching for what it is that you like, what it is that makes you tick. It took a while for me to find that because what I thought made me tick was sports and athletics. I thought that's who I was. I thought that was my purpose. I was meant to be the athlete, to be the breadwinner for the family. But isolation, realizing that there's more to that. For me, there's no growth without isolation. If you're trying to grow from everybody else and what they've done, of course you need role models, but in order to figure out what you want, you have to look yourself in the mirror. And I realized I wasn't happy with what I saw in the mirror, so I had to make a change myself. And no one can do that other than you. And it's kind of when it goes back to athletics, being uncomfortable, you're taught to thrive in being uncomfortable. That's what makes the greats great. You figure out a way out of it. And every team, great teams fall back on their culture, their identity. If you're a hardworking team and things come to what they are and stuff starts hitting the fan fourth quarter, what's your identity? What have you worked on time and time again in practice to help you go through? The same thing in life. When things hit the fan, who are you in to the core to figure out who you are and how to bounce through these things? So it took a lot. And I still to this day I'm still learning myself, but that's what life is. But it's much harder if I don't even you don't open that door and keep it closed. And when it's too late and you're in that your midlife crisis when you're in your 40s and 50s, like what have I done with my life? I know I didn't want to have that conversation. I wanted to have something meaningful where I can leave a legacy behind and say that I've done the things I've wanted to do and live the life I wanted to live and help the people I wanted to help. I'm here to serve. That's my purpose is to serve, and I've learned that through the isolation process.
What do you think about that? That career discovery stage of number one, what do I want to do? What is really out there? How can I apply what I think is kind of cool, whether it's sales or marketing or engineering or whatever it may be? And how can I monetize that part of it? Because there's a difference between certain, following your passion, you may not make any money with your passion projects, but what's that next stage of I did my self discovery, I kind of figured this out. What do you tell somebody a 21-year-old who's getting ready to kind of get into that next phase of their life and their first job? What's their mindset there?
I look for where your values align. So a lot of times coming out of college, we all look for money, 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 how to make money this, how to make money that. But sometimes with a lot of money comes a lot of value compromising things. So if you're looking for a career, first find out what your values are first. And it's kind of hard because with sports, we're given our values, especially when you're on a good team, the values are on the wall. Ours is faith, family, football. So when I got away from that, faith, family, football weren't truly my values to the core. I had to figure out what my values was, which was loyalty, serving others, just empathy, and all those things aligned with what I want to do with Walk On Nation. So now work doesn't feel like work to me. It's just something I wake up and do every day. If work starts feeling like work, you may want to get out of it because after a while you're going to hit a wall and the burnout is going to be more than you expected. It's going to be tough to get back from that. That's where the what have I done with my life this whole time? I've got all this money, I have all these things, but I'm still empty inside. Well, your values don't align with what you're working with. So if your values align with finances, great. Go get a job that gets plenty and plenty of money. If it's for serving people, there's jobs for that. There's jobs that fit every value you have. You just have to find where your values align and find the job that works with that.
That is so true. It takes a while to get there, though. I mean,
Uh,
certainly your 20s are, what do I say all the time? You're going to discover what you hate doing long before you discover a career that you love. But your 20s are really for that part of it. So what do you say, when to these student athletes now that you work with about NIL? How does that play into your education process now?
So NIL and identity go hand in hand. NIL changed the landscape of the game, some good, some bad. My message is the same thing. Find out who you are and where your values align. Once you do that, you can see what companies you actually want to work with, what money actually is suited best for you. There's plenty of NIL deals out there to grab, but they're not for the best. A lot of people are just using you as a commodity. So if we're talking business terms, it's what you are to them, a commodity. So you have to know that you have the power in your hands. I'm big on the athletes have the power. Without us, this doesn't flow. If we all stop today, everything crumbles. So you have to realize that and know that you have more power in your hands than you think. And you can dictate what falls in your lap and what doesn't. You can say no. It's okay to say no. So with NIL, really find out who you are and what your passion, what your purpose is, what you want to put out to the world, and what they want to know you as. That can help with your NIL seeking process. For me, it all stems with identity.
What do you think? What do you think is going to happen with NIL for talent acquisition? You know, with these companies now that are targeting college athletes as as a talent pool. What do you where do you see that whole program and process going? Does it still go through the career development office in a school or a department in a college, or does that become more of a direct business to athlete exchange?
I think it depends on the school, but from my point of view, I see it as just another league of the pros. The best of the best in college sports will get the best deals, as we see with Angel Reese and LSU. After she did what she did in the women's Final Four, all these major deals came up because of the name. If you have a strong athletic name, you get the best deals, which is great for that person. But at the same time, for the other people in the locker room, it may be sort of an envy part that comes with it. But to that, that's always been in sports. It's nothing new. It's just out in the light. The best players got stuff under the table. We all knew it's just it was illegal at that time, but it's the same thing. I think it's just going to go along the lines of what history repeats itself. The best players get the best stuff, end up getting agents, get all these great things. Everyone else, I don't want to say falls by the wayside, but gets what's left over. It's it's life at that point.
Yeah. Well, let's. I'm going to throw you one last question. This is going to be a doozy for you, but I just want to summarize this in what you, I because I've known you for a while now, and I know your story, and I think you're just a great example of anybody that's been a walk on in any sport at any school. And the name of your company, obviously, with Walk On Nation. There's nobody that symbolizes that in my mind than you, and I think you represent a whole group of athletes that have walked on that are so different and unique. Um, but from high school to not, I mean, thank God you grew up in Florida, not Long Island, by the way, to play college football, right? So geographically, that helped you, but there was challenges there. You walk on, thank God the timing of that works out with the coaches in the office. You walk on, you prove yourself, you get on the field, you guys have a crappy season. You stay on the field, and boom, you have a devastating injury that knocks you out. There's a lot of kids that would use that as an excuse in their life, right? And they become the victim, right? They become the victim that maybe it wasn't in the cards. I didn't get this. Things happen for us for a reason, and it's kind of like all of those things happen for you, in my opinion, to build that armor on you. So you are just anything that comes your way, you're going to be ready for. So along your journey, there's a lot of people that helped you, right? That helped you out in other ways. So it's not even a question. It's going to be, I'm asking you, this is your opportunity to give those people, you know, give you your Hall of Fame speech. Who are you thanking along the way to get you to this point? And you're just starting this whole thing, right? And I'm sorry to kind of build such a big lead into that, but who are those people that you want to thank along the way, and who got you to this point? This is your opportunity.
Of course, I would thank first for the position he put me in and letting me be alive and live. But I definitely my parents. My parents showed me what adversity was and how to fight through it. From being young in New York, I saw adversity at a very young age due to the fact that my grandfather was actually the first black commissioner of the Nassau County Police Department in Long Island, New York. So I saw the things he had to go through. My dad, being detective in MTA Police Department in Manhattan, saw the things he had to go through. So I've always seen adversity and fight, but coming out on the flip side of it and winning through it and not letting adversity beat you. My dad taught me lesson I'll never forget is the way you win in life is just making it. No matter what happens, you let them win when they see you down and you quit. You don't quit. And that right there has got me to be where I'm gonna walk on and fight through to where walk on nations. Cause just having that, I guess, driven in my brain is don't quit. Because there's always a brighter side at the end of the road. A lot of people shut down when things get hard, but they don't realize just one more step and you break through. But you just stop right there and it's over and it falls from that point. So I definitely thank them and just through that time seeing that life does go on and people say that life can beat you up. I don't believe that. Life just keeps moving. Life can care less if you're with it or not. It's your job to grab onto life and keep going with it. If not, it just keeps moving. So I decided to grab on with it and keep moving. Another person I would say is my wife. My wife has been my rock when I'm weak. I'm not good at showing emotion really, but she's the one that can break that out of me. I knew she was the one when she could check me because not a lot of people could check me or put me in my place because that I'm just a strong-willed, hard-headed person. But for her to check me and also keep me balanced when I'm down to certain things and she helps me realize that I'm better than what I think I am. So without her and my parents, I wouldn't be where I am today. They taught me how to fight through adversity, and that's where Walk on Nation really comes from. It's a mentality realizing that no matter what, you have to make it. You can't make no excuses because when you're a walk on, one excuse you make, you're off the team. So you don't have that luxury. And realizing and going through that life, I realized I don't have that luxury to make that excuse or just be able to give up on a day. It's always get better 1%. If I can't be great every single day, but at least I'm striving and moving forward. That's the best I can do. And I'll do that every day to the best of my ability until I can't anymore.
It's a good one. Michael Willett from Walk On Nation, obviously being part of the 5% Club, and we've known each other for a long time, and always, 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 and enjoy our friendship and support, and you know, anything I could do to always help share your story because I think the message that you have is so needed, and I think the validation that you bring to the table and credibility. It's just you can't find that everywhere. There's certain people that walk the walk and talk the talk, and you've always been one of them. And I've admired, what you've done over your time of kind of this transition period. So, see nothing but big things happen for you down the road as well, my friend. So, thanks for jumping on as always.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate everything you do. Always appreciate you. You're one of the best guys I know, so I definitely appreciate you.
Thanks, my friend. And that's Michael. I'm Rob. You're watching 5% Club podcast. We'll see you later. Take care.